be able to wheel that power to market and sell it to any industry in the country as soon as you sign off some of the regulations which are ready, and they have been well done by EPRA, who regulates the industry. So karibu sana in the petroleum space, the value chain of ensuring that every vehicle in the country is moving, every industry that runs on petroleum products does not run dry. There's a lot of planning that goes into bringing products into Kenya, bringing products to support Uganda and our neighbors. And you will note very shortly that there isn't much noise, and yet we bring products worth over $6 billion annually into the economy, in petroleum products to run this economy. A lot of planning, no debt. It's a private sector space, and we work very quietly and very closely to ensure that we secure this country with competitive products, both in energy and petroleum. My desire, colleagues, has been to, in that mission statement in the Ministry of Energy, to ensure that we do capture not just provision of affordable energy, provision of energy which is secure, and so on and so forth, but to secure competitive cost of energy, to ensure that we do have a competitive economy, that we do draw competitive advantage in the cost of doing business. Because I have this vision that as a competitive country, we are able to draw global firms. Global firms seek competitive advantage in the cost of doing business, in the cost of energy, in the green energy that we offer today being 92% renewable, to be able to have that advantage to market their products, because investors are not in for charity. They need to have return on their investment. And so it's important that we continue to generate power that is competitive in the region, not just affordable, because you can afford, I can afford, but what is the cost component in the unit cost of production? It's very important. And as we hand over today the various documents, the last meeting I had in this auditorium was with the independent power producers, where Waziri, you will note very quickly that the power generation space is a very competitive space. We attract investors. In fact, in the energy space, we have got a waiting list of those who want to generate power for this economy. And the waiting list runs up to the year 2040. 2040, there's somebody on the waiting list to generate power for Kenya for the year 2040. And because in that document we call the Least Cost Power Development Plan, LCPDT, the planning is such that we match demand and supply. If you generate not enough power, you do load shedding. If you generate too much power and you are not able to sell all of it, you have to sell whatever you are selling more expensively to collect enough money to pay for the power that you are not able to sell. So you do a lot of planning so that we do not have excess power, and yet we do not have a shortfall of power. And that power that you are planning for today is for a market in 2027. So you have to be able to look at the GDP development in the energy sector and be able to predict well enough the power requirements for 2027, 2028, 2029, and sign the offtake agreements to be able to ensure that there is adequate power, there is no shortfall, and yet it is competitive cost of power. It's got a good right energy mix in solar, wind, geothermal. Waziri, we are expiring the diesel generation by 2030. There'll be a lot of pressure to see whether we can push them, but because of the climate change issues, we really must do what is right to support our climate. Waziri, it's a ceremony to just hand over. The documents will be there. We'll spend more time with you in cabinet. We will continue to work and cooperate as a team. But I really want to welcome you, and we'll be handing over some of the documents including what Kenya Power, Engineer Kiva, worked with us to ensure that there's energy security for this country in the Least Cost Power Development Plan. And thirdly, I just want to really thank you all. I did thank God, thank the President, but I want to thank you for, people say Chirchir did this or Chirchir did that, but Waziri, these are the people who will deliver for you. So I want to thank you all. I didn't have a lot of time to socialize with most of you guys because Waziri asked me, how do you work at the ministry with these dotted lines? Because at the ministry, we almost don't have staff. We have very few people at the ministry. And we work through the state, the state enterprises in REREC, KenGen, Kenya Power, GDC, and so on and so forth. And I think I've given you guys space to work. But I want to thank you for the cooperation because it's been very consultative in spite of the fact that you run with your independent boards. Kenya Power today, that company that has had its challenges, we've had to restructure and allow the shareholding structure framework to allow the independent shareholders to be represented in the board. And so in Kenya Power today, we have 4 independent directors, or 4 directors representing the private sector because of the 49% shareholding and 5 representing government. And Kenya Power is performing very well. I'm sure going forward, we'll possibly be seeking to do the same for KenGen and for all the listed companies to bring in that knowledge from the private sector, from those investors, not just bringing their money, but bringing their capacity and knowledge and see how their investment can return, the return on their investment can be better improved while employing their capital which they have put in through buying shares in some of these companies. So karibu sana Waziri, we will continue to work together. I really want to thank all of us for spending time together. I said I didn't quite socialize. We had a lesson yesterday from Mary Kimonye, and Waziri, you'll recall that Mary did teach us that you want to, when I call Joe Sang, you want to call Joe Sang in the PS so that the PS doesn't feel undermined that you are talking to his staff directly. What is it that you are discussing with Joe Sang without the knowledge of the boss or without the knowledge of the chairman? Because when they sit, when they assemble in the board, they want to make independent decisions. And then so we worked really well with the team and delivered for this country. So I leave you with my colleague, a friend, for the time we socialize together, and I'm sure we'll continue to work well together. But very importantly, we need to continue to secure the security of energy and petroleum for this country. It requires a lot of planning. I'll be spending time in detail with the various CEOs on a one-to-one basis with Waziri to tell them where they have done very well and where they need to pull up their socks. And we have discussed that with Waziri. But I really want to thank all of you for the support you gave me while in this ministry. And as I go to roads, I pray that I will have that fortitude and the kind of support that you gave me so that we make a difference with the infrastructure in this country. It's one thing for energy to be competitive. It's one thing to get products to market at a competitive cost. When you do cost allocation, for those of you who run industry, there is cost allocation from energy, there's cost allocation for transport to market, and then all that. And therefore, we need to really ensure that that cost is competitive and we are able to deliver for the region. Thank you for coming this morning to really bid me farewell. Thank you for the choir that entertained us with great words that captured the work and the great work we have done together and the wishes as we all go forward in our journey. I think we can make a big difference in our country in those positions that we sit in today. It is those, it's those few things, those small things that we do. I recalled when I went for my interview the other day, confirmation in Parliament, and the kind of anxiety that strikes you. And you talk to all our colleagues, and you start revising your university notes. And I got my notes from my MBA, and I got all the works we've been doing together to be able to show, you know, you're not just being interviewed for the job. you basically carrying the torch and telling the world that I can do this job well for Kenya. You're not just seeking a job selfishly for yourself. You must be able to articulate. So the things you do today, and I tell my children, the things you do today in school is what you'll use 20 years, 30 years, 40 years later. Because that's what you will hold on to be able to move up and be able to prove to the world that we can do it. In the energy space, Waziri, we have serious professionals. In fact, we hardly have any expatriates. We don't have any expatriates, do we? We do all the work in geothermal. In Kenyan, they drill for other 12, 13, 14 African countries. From exploration, advising them, and so on and so forth, from Comoros to Djibouti to Tanzania, where we did bid the other day to do that job. So I want to thank you. I leave you with God's blessings. We will continue to interact. I want to encourage each and every one of you to seek me out to buy me lunch. I'll try and be available. I'll make time for us to sit down together and continue not just working for this country, but working as friends and advising each other on how we can secure our nation. Waziri, karibu sana, and we will continue to liaise. Bwana PS, thank you, thank you, thank you. I've come a long way with PS. We used to manage elections together. And when I went for the interview, I did say that when there was no confidence in the electoral process in this country, we went in there and people would ask us, why do you want to go to the Electoral Commission when the country is burning down? And we tried and made a difference to have Kenyans, once again, after the post-election violence of 2008, to believe in electoral process, to believe in delegating their rights to somebody to be able, under the constitutional framework. And we worked together with the team at that time to do Chapter 7, run the referendum in 2010. And that's why I say what you do today, you will really be holding on to it for your dear life tomorrow. So let's all do our best. And thank you, Bwana PS, for the journey we have worked together. Who knew that our paths will cross again? When I left here in 2014, who knew I'll come back to energy? So buy me lunch, because our paths will cross again. Apo Bele. But I want to thank you all for the support and the cooperation you've given me while working in this ministry. Asante sana, and God bless you. Thank you.